Hi everyone, and welcome back to Bushel Park Golf Club. So today we're going to start our second of our how-to series, and we're going to go to pitching. So pitching can be broken into two shots. We have what we call a finesse wedge, and we have a generic pitch shot. So finesse wedge we've covered a few times in our on-course series. Today we're going to be focusing more on the pitch shot. So pitch shot really covers everything from where your full pitching wedge would stop and when you get to the finesse wedge. So finesse wedge is really anything around the green, so 15-20 yards really. So anything between that 15-20 yards, and for me that between 110 yards is where my pitching is going to come into play. So it covers a vast area on the golf course, and it is a really well used shot, and it's a shot we're going to use a lot throughout your rounds or throughout your golfing life. And it's also one of the most important shots and one of the easiest shots to get good at, to get yourself down and get your handicap to tumble. So we're going to go over the generic pitch shot today. There's a few similarities between that and a finesse wedge, which we'll cover in our next video. But today it's all about that pitch shot. So first and foremost, what is a pitch shot? Well, a pitch shot is anything that's not a full swing. So we've got different lengths of backswing, and you can even class some of those in those sort of chip out shots that you're pulling out from the trees. They're all technically part of the same group of shots, which is the short game. And because of that, our weight is going to be static. Same as it was in our last video for a chip and run. Weight was on the front foot and stayed there. The same applies to a pitch shot and finesse wedge, and for the shot you're going to play out from the tree. So anytime we're not doing a full swing. So first thing we're always going to have in the short game is weight on this left side. So my sternum is going to be on or just left of the golf ball. I'm going to hold that position throughout my swing. The reason for that is because we're not doing a full swing, because we don't have this big long wind up and big rotation with the chest, and the hips don't need to turn an awful lot. I don't have the time to get my body back across and out of the way. So because I'm only swinging back to possibly waist high, at the longest really shoulder high, I'm not going to have enough time to get my lower half in front as we would want for a full swing. That's why we start with the weight on the left side, so the sternum's forward, and by placing it there, I'm already in that position to impact the ball and the turf afterwards. It gets us a nice consistent strike. So that's why we have the weight forward. So for the actual pitch shot, we've got a couple of things we tweak. So ball's always going to be forward of centre, and ideally we get up close to the inside of its left instep. Now I don't mind if we have the ball somewhere between just forward of centre and the instep. It's not a problem, whatever you feel most comfortable with in that respect. But I would tend to find one place where you feel comfortable. So for me, it's right up onto that left instep, and my weight is on my left foot. So I'm all perched over this left-hand side. So there's a lot of weight forward, and really my right leg's just an anchor. Feet are still narrow because we're not doing a full swing, so I don't need a big wide base for it. And it's just going to help me keep my weight on that left-hand side as well. So I've got my ball forward, got my weight forward, and now the important part, and this is what changes between a finesse wedge and a pitch shot. For a pitch shot, we're controlling it by doing the length of swing, and so the length of backswing predominantly. So the length of my backswing is going to determine how long a shot I'm going to be playing. Now this will vary for everyone, so it's worth getting some practice in to know how far you hit it with each of these swings, but what we're going to really focus on is the actual swings and what they are and where they are. So there's a couple of different options. Some people use a clock face where they'll swing back, say to 9 o'clock through to 3 o'clock and so on, but I find that a little bit too confusing to try and get to the right areas. 9 and 3 is really simple. When you start going beyond that, they can get a bit vague, sort of 10 o'clock and things like that. So for me, that doesn't work. It's never really worked for me, but there are people it will work for. What I use is physical parts. So I've got my waist, I've got my shoulder. They're my two key areas that I'm going to be looking at. So for my shortest swing, I'll be up to waist high. So I'm getting my hands and the club head level with my waist, and then I'll swing beyond that. Then I've got my shoulder height. So if I feel like I get the club up to shoulder height, so I'm feeling like the club head's up to my shoulder height. And then I also have my hands to shoulder height. Hands level with this right hand shoulder. So I have 3 lengths to my pitch shot, and they'll give me 3 different yardages. So when I convert that into the 4 wedges that I carry, I have every yardage I need, every 10 yards from 125, which is my full pitching wedge, right the way down to 50 yards, which is my waist high, or just under 50 yards, which is my waist high with my 58-degree wedge. This gets every yardage I need covered for those shots. And like I said, it's a scoring zone, so if I can get myself to within that on the golf course and know how far each of these swings is going, I can start attacking flags and getting a little bit more precise and give myself a better chance for up and downs if I've had to chip out from the tree, or get myself in positions to make birdies and more or less guaranteed pars. So it's an important shot to get good at, and this is really where we want to be putting a lot of your focus into, being good at repeating that length of the swing. So we have setup, which is ball forward, feet narrow, weight forward, and then we're controlling the length of the backswing. Now the follow through is always longer, so whatever I've done on the way back, I'm going to make sure I do at least that on the way through. I don't want to be stopping too short. I want to make sure we've got nice, consistent, long follow through. There are variations to this shot you can play around with, but for your basic pitch shot, that's how I'd work it. I'd go waist high on the way back and make sure I'm doing at least that on the way through, if not longer. So, take you through one of my shots. So I've got ball forward, like I say, weight forward. There's our setup, and now I'm trying to swing back to my waist high. So now you can see a very long follow through on that compared to how long the backswing was. But this is controlling how much speed I'm going to have at the ball. The follow through is just keeping that speed going through the ball. Now for anyone who does want to get a little bit more technical, I'll give you one little snippet into what we're looking at. So setup's not changing, the technical part comes to what I'm actually moving as I swing through. So we've controlled the length of that backswing, and then as I'm swinging through, I'm going to be using the rib cage to keep it rotating. So we're not using just the arms for this shot. It is set the length on the way back, and then rotate with all rib cage right the way through the golf ball. And that rotation is going to keep your speed up and get that nice crisp strike on the ball and create some spin on your shot. Now the other 2 lengths of swings that we've got, like I say, are up to shoulder high. So I've got the club head up to shoulder high, and then I've got the hands up to shoulder high. The hands at shoulder high is probably the hardest one of the 3 to control, only because it's getting closer to that longer swing, and it's the one most people struggle with, to not go too far and get the full swing in. But it's a really important shot, especially with sort of pitching wedges and gap wedges, because it will just come out a little bit lower and get a nice crisp strike into the green and get that ball stopping nice and quick as well. So setup doesn't change, it's just about keeping yourself in position and getting very good at judging how long the backswing is. If you can do that, you'll find a nice repetitive shot that you can use on the golf course and get those scores down nice and quickly. Okay, so the final notes are really about practice and making sure we're doing good practice. I'd always have sort of 6 to 10 golf balls at the same balls you'd play with that you can use around the chipping greens, pitching greens, because they are all going to spin differently. So you're going to have different spin characteristics from ball type to ball type. So it's worth practicing with the same balls you play with. Then you can find out how the ball reacts, and you're going to get that consistency through it. There's no good in practicing with like a distance ball and then playing with a good golf ball, and vice versa. There's no point in practicing with something you're not going to play with. So I'd always have 6 to 10 balls you can just have around the green just to do that chipping and pitching, certainly these longer pitch shots with. And also when we are practicing, making sure we're repairing any pitch marks once you've finished your practice. It's good etiquette, not only that, but on the golf course it's good etiquette to do your own pitch mark, and if you do see at least 1 or 2 others, do them as well. Just preserve the golf course for all of us to enjoy and use. So I'm going to do my pitch marks here. I'm putting in the side and going from outside edge to middle of the pitch mark, and do a couple more I can see. Again, just making sure the green's ready for practice next. But as always, happy golfing, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all really soon.